way to wind up just about anything could also be bringing new jobs to local veterans. And move over wheat, barley, and potatoes. This year's big crop could be quinoa. Local News 8 at 10 starts now.
You're watching Local News 8 at 10. Local people, local news.
Good evening, everyone. Two former governors are threatening to sue the U.S. government. As we reported last week, former Idaho governors Phil Batt and Cecil Andrus filed a notice of their intent to sue the Department of Energy over nuclear fuel rods possibly being brought to Idaho. Two shipments at 100 pounds each are scheduled to arrive here for research. One shipment is set for June, the other for December. Batt and Andrus say this would violate the 1995 agreement to remove and keep nuclear waste out of Idaho. We spoke with John Grossenbacher, the director of the INL, about why he thinks this does not violate the agreement.
It's not waste. This is not material that's being brought here for storage until we can dispose of it, to put here. And my own opinion is that that option fits well inside the intent of the settlement agreement. It was meant to provide that capability so the lab could do what the lab is here to do.
Grossenbacher says the agreement has allowance provisions for this type of material and amounts, and this is just a very small amount. He also says this is safe, or the workers at the lab wouldn't be doing the research. He added that the research would put Idaho at the forefront in the nuclear industry, and it's vital to the future of nuclear energy research. Opponents argue over concerns for the environment, and specifically the Snake River Plain aquifer. U.S. Senator Mike Quinoa was in eastern Idaho today, and he honored late Idaho Senator Mel Richardson by presenting a congressional record statement in his honor to Richardson's family. That was during a private get-together with the family. Both Senator Quinoa and Dixie Richardson, Mel Richardson's wife, say there is no better way to honor the late senator.
Mel Richardson is an icon in this part of southeastern Idaho, and he has grown through his service to be just an incredible leader in our state and in our country.
A wonderful man, I have to say that too. And he was a leader. He was a very warm, outgoing, loving individual, and he cared deeply about America.
Senator Mel Richardson passed away back in December. It's time now to take a first look at our weather. Does our weekend look as nice as today, Steve?
Yeah, part of it does, Jay. We'll see a pretty nice Saturday, and as evidenced over my shoulder, there's no radar echoes to report anywhere on Viper until you get to the coast. And guess what's coming home to roost by Saturday? But what a beautiful day we had today in eastern Idaho. We'll start in Idaho Falls, and I want to zoom in on Pinecrest Golf Course and show you some interesting things. One, look at all the activity that you see there. It looks kind of like ants scurrying around the fairway, but no, those are golfers enjoying what was a beautiful day, and it remains a beautiful evening in and around the neighborhood. We've got temperatures in the 40s with light winds and fair skies. We are going to see a fairly pleasant night tonight with light winds, fair skies, and mild temperatures, but by tomorrow, we're likely to see an increase in cloud cover, and that will bring some late in the day showers, particularly to the central mountains. We're still going to be warm, and we'll tell you how long that's going to last in the forecast.
All right, thank you, Steve. A Pocatello inventor is trying to launch a brand new product he says will create jobs for those who need them most. He's hoping to open a factory in southeast Idaho, and he wants to staff it entirely with veterans. Local News 8's Luke Jones spoke with him. Luke, tell us about this product.
Well, it's called MultiWinder, and that inventor says it can wind up pretty much anything. Right now, he says he already has an order for 10,000 of them, just needs the money to fill that order. 10 years as a truck driver.
To wind up cargo strap, I would do 2-inch, 18 by hand.
Taught Joseph Gonzalez some hard-learned lessons.
You drop them, you have to start over.
So one day, 5 years ago, he had an idea.
MultiWinder is a multi-winder that winds up nearly everything.
Just strap it on
and start winding.
These are prototypes, but one day Gonzalez hopes to see them on store shelves everywhere.
Walmart, Kmart, if we market it right, we'll sell millions.
Still, it's not the product.
And there you go.
He's most passionate about.
My goal is to hire as many veteran as I possibly can.
Born and raised in Pocatello, Gonzalez himself is a Vietnam vet.
I know how hard it is to get back into their civilian life.
He says MultiWinders could be the answer.
If I can hire two or everybody that walk in my door, I'll be a happy man.
Gonzalez says he already has a contract with the company behind this popular brand.
The value of the contract would be millions.
But first, he says he needs about $250,000 to manufacture them. He's hoping to raise the money online.
And that would give a long-term job security for our veteran.
Now, Gonzalez says, as seen on TV, wants 1,400 of them to begin with. He also has a separate order for 10,000 from Japan. Live at the Pocatello Newsroom tonight, I'm Luke Jones.
All right, thank you, Luke. Gonzalez also says he's already invested around $90,000 just to develop this product. Well, with just a few months of school left this school year across the state, they're doing fine with that new internet service in place after the fallout in the Idaho Education Network. But next year is another situation, though, and state lawmakers are working on a new plan. Early proposals outline a form of government oversight that would manage a statewide network. Despite the early success of districts negotiating their own contracts, some lawmakers worry about internet service providers driving up prices. To help combat this, the proposal restricts the state from using just one ISP.
If you create a new network and you don't put the service provider in charge of it or give the service provider that kind of access, you can empower the state to negotiate best price.
Announced today, the two vendors for Idaho's failed broadband program are seeking more than $6 million in unpaid bills from the time its contract with the state was under legal scrutiny. As the weather continues to warm up, you're likely to see a lot more road construction. The Idaho Transportation Department will be working on 30 construction projects this year. The estimated $12.7 million projects will include reconstructing Pancary Drive between Skyline Drive and Bellin Road, resurfacing US 93 south of Salmon, replacing West Pine Creek Bridge on Highway 31 north of Swan Valley, and other repairs. Idaho Transportation Department Representative Bruce King hopes lawmakers find a way to fund the $262 million that the Gem State needs to maintain the roads.
We're very pleased that the legislature is considering ways to perhaps strengthen and increase the funding for the state highway system, which is aging. The infrastructure is aging, and the concern is that we have insufficient resources to properly maintain it, let alone to improve it. And so we think the legislature will do the right thing and consider the needs of the state highway system and act to serve its interests.
But AAA spokesperson Dave Carlson doesn't agree.
Truck happy and passenger poor, I'll put it that way. We don't think these bills would work. They put a huge increase in gasoline tax without the subsequent and equal amount of the burden back on trucks that are doing most of the damage.
The Transportation Department's 30 projects will be completed by the end of 2015. Quinoa is quickly becoming one of the next big things in food. In fact, local growers have started planting quinoa, which could mean some big changes to our area when it comes to availability and pricing. For those who don't know, quinoa is a seed, and dietitians consider it sort of like a superfood because it contains full proteins and amino acids. For people with celiac disease or a gluten intolerance, quinoa is one substitute. Now, the gluten part is where some dietitians start to disagree. We spoke with two experts today who say, while quinoa is good, it shouldn't be the only thing you eat, and it shouldn't replace gluten unless you have a problem. But one dietitian said gluten is fine. The other said the way it's processed in America takes away nutrients and makes it hard for the body to process.
I mean, if people feel better, they may be gluten intolerant, but it's not, it's sort of the diet of the moment, and it's not necessarily the best choice for a lot of people.
Wheat is a really important grain to our diet. It provides a lot of B vitamins. I mean, grains provide a lot of nutrients, but they need to be properly broke down.
Quinoa can also be grown in your own backyard. You just need to make sure the conditions are right because it's mostly farmed in South America. There are about 14 Idaho growers in Soda Springs, Preston, American Falls, and Blackfoot raising small fields of quinoa this season. Getting ready to plant your garden? Seed experts say it's best to save and plant your own seeds from year to year. A nationally recognized seedsman, Bill McDorman, is in Idaho Falls to teach about that. We caught up with him at the community garden on Rolandette. He was excited to see the seeds produced by last year's crop there. He encourages gardeners to save their own seeds from some of the produce they grow. That's because seeds from locally grown crops will produce better plants for our climate than store-bought seeds. That's how our grandparents did it, he said.
Almost all of them saved some of their own seeds and traded them. And so that's what we want people to do. Come, join with the others that are interested in this. Let's get more seed exchanges, seed libraries. Let's figure out a way to trade with your neighbors the best of what you have, and you can get the best of what they have, and we all live in the same neighborhood, and everybody's better off.
McDorman is very excited about this, and he'll be giving a workshop tomorrow called Seeds, the Future of Food, from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at University Place, room 207 of the Center for Higher Education building. You have to register, though, and you can do that by going to RockyMountainSeeds.org. Well, the weekend is here, and the weather looks fantastic for tomorrow. Next week, maybe another story. The full forecast is coming up next. Take a look at today's highs and lows, and we'll be right back.
Carol Honus, Jay Hildebrand, First Alert Chief Meteorologist Michael Coates, and Jeff Landers with Sports Live. You're watching Local News 8 at 10. Local people, local news.